Here are the top stories for today, January 17, 2020. President Duterte expresses satisfaction with Phivolcs' response to Taal volcano's activity. The DILG says it will let justice run its course in the 2013 Ninja Cops case involving retired PNP Chief Oscar Albayalde. Malacanang denies the president's hand in plans to petition the Supreme Court to revoke the franchise of network ABS-CBN. And Marawi fabrics and handicrafts take center stage in an upcoming fashion show in California, USA. Good day, I'm Bench Bondok. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. We started the nation's top office. Malacanang has defended the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology amid criticism over its warnings on Taal volcano's eruption. The palace also assured Phivolcs would get upgrades to improve its capabilities. Janice Cave starts us off.
President Rodrigo Duterte is satisfied with the warnings issued by the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology about Taal volcano's activity. Despite Cavite Representative Elpidio Barzaga Jr.'s call for a probe into its alleged failure to inform the public about the volcano's imminent eruption, presidential spokesperson Salvador Panello defended the agency, saying that volcanic eruptions cannot easily be predicted. Despite this, Panello said the Phivolcs is able to prompt to raise the alert level to 4, which means a hazardous eruption is possible within days. Panello also assured that damaged or outdated equipment of the Phivolcs will also be replaced to improve the agency's capability to monitor volcanic activity. Panello, however, said it was the prerogative of the House of Representatives to investigate the Phivolcs' information dissemination on Taal volcano's unrest. In a virtual presser on Wednesday, Phivolcs Director Renato Solidum Jr. denied that there was a delay in the warnings released by Phivolcs, insisting that smaller eruptions are not designed for warning. Solidum also said the agency has always been repeating the possible large eruption of the volcano as early as March 2019. Meantime, to protect residents living near Taal volcano from the threat of a hazardous eruption, Panello said the implementation of no man's land should be strictly enforced. Panello acknowledged that the livelihood of the residents there may be affected but assured that the government would allot funds for their permanent relocation. Panello also echoed the statement made by Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana that there are enough resources to assist victims of Taal volcano's eruption and that there is no need to seek aid from foreign countries. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
Senator Manny Pacquiao on Thursday called on the National Bureau of Investigation to stop those behind fake donation drives supposedly for victims of the Taal volcano eruption. In a statement, Pacquiao said he would ask NBI's Anti-Cybercrime Division and the Department of Information and Communications Technology to track down the social media accounts using his name soliciting donations. Pacquiao warned owners of the bogus accounts that he would not stop until they are tracked down and appropriately charged. He also said that he would file the appropriate complaint before Facebook and other social media platforms. Pacquiao stressed that if and when he would ask for donations, it would only be through his official social media accounts. Senator Sherwin Gatchalian also noted the proliferation of fake donation drives and false information being circulated online during calamities. The lawmaker said the NBI and the DICT should closely monitor and arrest those behind the fake information and donation drives. The number of families affected by the eruption of Taal volcano in Batangas has exceeded 17,000. In its 6 a.m. update on Friday, the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council said all the affected families came from Batangas, Cavite, and Laguna. Of this number, about 15,000 families are temporarily staying in 283 evacuation centers. As of this posting, the Department of Social Welfare and Development and the Department of Health has so far provided 11 million pesos worth of assistance to the affected families. Meanwhile, the cost of damage to agriculture due to the Taal volcano's eruption has soared to 3 billion pesos. The Department of Agriculture said agricultural damages and losses covered over 15,000 hectares and nearly 2,000 animal heads. The most affected commodities include fish, coffee, cacao, pineapple, assorted fruits and vegetables, rice, and coconut. Shifting gears now, the Department of the Interior and local government will let justice take its course in the case of retired PNP Chief Oscar Albayalde. This after Albayalde and 12 others are indicted in the so-called Ninja Cops case in 2013. Our Ruth Abigita Carlos has more details.
The Department of Justice ordered on Thursday the filing of criminal charges against retired PNP Chief Oscar Albayalde and 12 others. The case involves the supposed cover-up during the November 2013 buy-bust involving Johnson Lee in Lakeshore View, Pampanga. The raid yielded a substantial amount of illegal drugs wherein involved cops allegedly pilfered some 160 kilos of shabu. The panel of prosecutors found probable cause to charge Albayalde with violation of the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act based on his non-implementation of an order penalizing the officers involved in the assailed operation. The other policemen were charged with violation of the Comprehensive Dangerous Drugs Act of 2002, particularly the mishandling of confiscated drugs, planting of evidence, and bungling in the prosecution of drugs cases. The panel also recommended the filing of charges against Albayalde and the 12 officers for qualified bribery under the revised penal code. In October last year, Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara ordered the investigation of the case after the original complaint filed against Baloyos Group was dismissed for insufficiency of evidence. Meanwhile, the Department of the Interior and Local Government on Friday said it will leave to the country's judicial process the fate of Albayalde. Interior Secretary Eduardo Año said this is an opportunity for Albayalde to defend himself in a proper forum where he will be accorded due process. The PNP said it also respects the Justice Department's decision. Albayalde, meanwhile, said his conscience remains clear and he is ready to defend himself in court. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Ruth Abigita Carlos.
Up next, Malacanang denies the president's hand in plans to petition the Supreme Court to revoke the franchise of broadcast network ABS-CBN. And an expert expects sales of generic drugs to increase following the implementation of a proposed price cap. These stories are next. Stay with the PNA Newsroom.
Halfway through the 6-year term of President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, much has already been done. But the administration continues to push the envelope to bring about true and lasting change and leave behind a legacy that will continue to benefit our country and our people for generations to come.
Pagkatapos ng lindol, alamin kung nagkaroon ka ng pinsala, gayon din ang iyong mga kasamahan. Mag-ingat sa mga basag na salamin at iba pang bagay na makakasugat. Magsuot ng matibay na sapatos para hindi masugatan ang inyong paa. Lumayo sa mga dalampasigan. Posible ang pagkakaroon ng tsunami kapag huminto na sa pagyanig ang lupa. Kung kayo ay nasa paaralan o trabaho, sundin ang emergency plan. Posible ang pagkakaroon ng aftershocks o mga pagyanig, kaya manatiling kalmado at sundin ang mga alituntunin para manatili kayong ligtas. Tignan ang mga linya ng tubig, gas at kuryente kung may sira. Kung meron, isarado agad ang switch o valve. Kung may amoy ng gas, buksan lahat ng mga bintana at pinto. Magmadaling lumabas at i-report sa mga kinauukulan. Nakasaad ang hotlines ng mga ahensya na maaaring tawagan kapag may emergency o krisis. Isang paalala para masiguradong ligtas sa pagdating ng lindol.
Malacanang says President Rodrigo Duterte has no hand in the supposed plan of the Office of the Solicitor General seeking the revocation of the congressional franchise of local media giant ABS-CBN. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panello said there was no attempt from the President to order Solicitor General Jose Calida to file a petition against ABS-CBN before the High Tribunal. The OSG is set to lodge a co-warranto petition against ABS-CBN before the Supreme Court. Local broadsheet The Manila Times said the OSG wants ABS-CBN's legislative franchise revoked due to the broadcast firm's supposed violations of the stated terms and conditions. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panello also said the OSG's move was not prompted by Duterte's previous rants against the network. ABS-CBN's 25-year franchise will expire on March 30 unless Congress and the President grant its renewal. Presidential Communications Operations Office Secretary Martin Andanal meanwhile said ABS-CBN can still run its other media platforms in case it fails to secure a new franchise. President Rodrigo Duterte on Thursday night blamed water concessionaires Maynilad and Manila Water for the heavy pollution in Manila Bay. In a speech during the National Baptist Day event in Pasay City, Duterte said Environment Secretary Roy Simatu, who chairs the Manila Bay Task Force, could never completely clean up the body of water because of the heavy contamination. Duterte said the two water firms failed to provide proper sewerage treatment plants, which led to the water body reaching its current state. In January last year, Duterte ordered a massive cleanup of Manila Bay to protect it from further contamination. Through Administrative Order No. 16, he also created the MBTF in February 2019 to expedite the rehabilitation and restoration of the coastal and marine ecosystem of the garbage-littered shoreline. In business, generic drug substitution is expected to increase once the executive order that would impose a cap on prices of life-saving medicines has been signed. Fitch Solutions Macro Research said while the measure is a threat to the operations of multinational drug makers, it would be positive for the people and the sector in the long run. The Department of Health has proposed maximum retail prices for about 122 medicines for more than 40 diseases, among them hypertension, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, neonatal diseases, and cancer. Prices of the covered medicines are projected to decline by as much as 56% from their current retail price. The move is in line with the Duterte administration's bid to provide Filipinos a comfortable life, which was also the reason for the signing of the Universal Healthcare Act in February last year. More members and supporters of the New People's Army have surrendered to the military. The surrenderers are given cash and means to start anew as promised to those who return to the government's fold. Janice Cave has the report.
11 former rebels and Militia ng Bayan members committed on Wednesday to serve the country, taking their oath of allegiance during a ceremony in Mountain Province. They were among those who separately surrendered to the government since November 2019 but joined part of the mass oath-taking. They will receive cash and livelihood assistance and a decent home. In Iloilo City, 5 former members of the CPP-NPA who surrendered together with their firearms to the government were granted financial aid on Thursday. The rebel returnees and their firearms were presented by the Philippine Army's 301st Brigade to Iloilo Governor Arthur Defensor Jr. The surrenderers were given cash and livelihood assistance under the government's Enhanced Comprehensive Local Integration Program, plus additional aid for their yielded firearms. Meanwhile, 8 members of the NPA operating in the province of Surigao del Sur surrendered to the Philippine National Police on Wednesday. Some of the rebels who surrendered had also operated in parts of the Davao region in recent months. PRO 13 Director Brigadier General Joselito Esquivel Jr. appealed to the remaining NPA members in the province to return to the folds of the law and become beneficiaries of the e-clip. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
More stories from the newsroom. The Department of Health monitors 4 new cases of polio in the country. And Marawi fabrics and handicrafts take center stage in an upcoming fashion show in California, USA. Back after a quick break, you're watching the PNA Newsroom.
Sa akin po kasi nag-start akong gumamit ng drugs. Nag-trigger sa akin is yung namatay yung mother ko. Napapansin na nila na gumagawa na ako ng masama, napapaaway, nababarangay, nagnanakaw, gumagawa ng kalokohan. Kapag lulong ka na sa droga, marami itong sinisira eh. Ilayo sa kanila ng droga yung mga magagandang bagay na maaaring mangyari sa buhay nila. Ngayon, susunod sa kanilang mga hinaharap.
The Department of Health on Thursday confirmed 4 more polio cases nationwide following the declaration of an outbreak in September 2019. In a statement, the DOH said the total number of polio cases in the country is now 16. The Research Institute for Tropical Medicine reported 2 additional cases from Maguindanao, 1 polio case from Sultan Kudarat, and 1 polio case from Quezon City, a 3-year-old male. The DOH extended its Sabayang Patak kontra Polio with the succeeding rounds scheduled from January 20 to February 2 in Mindanao and from January 27 to February 7 in Metro Manila. Meanwhile, Quezon City Mayor Joy Belmonte on Thursday said the city government would intensify its surveillance campaign against polio following the new case of the disease in the area. Belmonte instructed the Quezon City Health Department to closely coordinate with the DOH to ensure the eradication of the disease. The Philippine Basketball Association will hand out donations to victims of the Taal volcano eruption in Batangas. Commissioner Willie Marshall said the league would give 1 million pesos and 500 pairs of slippers to the Batangas provincial government, which will help in the relief operations. The check and the footwear were given before Game 5 of the Governor's Cup Finals at the Mall of Asia Arena in Pasay City. Ginebra guard L.A. Tenorio, a native of Nasugbu, said he would dedicate his team's campaign in the championship series against Meralco to the Taal volcano victims. Now 3 wins up in the best-of-7 series, Ginebra can lock in its 3rd Governor's Cup title in 4 seasons in Game 5. On to some regional headlines. The provincial government of Quirino has approved a 5-year development plan for the ecotourism facilities of the Governor's Rapids. The Governor's Rapids in Madela Town boasts of sprawling rock formations, caves, and crystal-clear waters off Cagayan River. It is also a haven to Dumagats and Agtas who earn a living from hunting and fishing in the area. Governor Dakila Carlo Cua said the master plan will develop the natural common to tourists aside from its natural wonders. The master plan was crafted by experts from the University of the Philippines Planning and Development Research Foundation Incorporated. It includes a roadside tree planting project that will also showcase the scenery leading to the rapids, aside from the improvement of ecotourism facilities such as a safari and zoo park. And before we go, handicrafts made by ethnic weavers from Marawi City will showcase their works in a fashion show in California, USA. The fashion show aims to boost the marketability of ethnic Marawi products in the fashion industry. Christine Lynn Viajante has more.
Outfits, lanyards, bags, wallets. These are just few of the products made by the Maranao Collectibles Cooperative here at Barangay Amito, Marangtao, Marawi City. These intricately designed tapestry are set to be showcased on a fashion show in San Francisco, California, USA on August this year, together with 4 other ethnic tribal weavers from the Philippines.
Si Sir Anthony, inano namin kasi mayroon siyang fashion show sa San Francisco ulit. So baka sana makapasok kami. So madadala na naman namin yung mga products.
All items display complex langkit textile patterns that are painstakingly hand-woven by Maranao women. Some of them were internally displaced persons or IDPs assisted by the government. Anthony Ligarda from the Hinabi Expo project of the Philippine American Artists and Writers Association, based in California, will organize the event. He gave meticulous attention to these exemplary works for over 5 years.
You treat the master works of the indigenous people as high culture. So if there's like the best places in Paris, why not? If the workmanship of the master is exemplary, then why shouldn't it be part of haute culture?
Ligarda also emphasized that through this exposure, the fashion industry would learn to innovate designs and give appropriate market value to authentic Maranao fabric and honor Filipino tribal ancestry.
My particular vision is to show that we have high-end works here. And that's what I would like to do, is not to diminish their work and actually uplift it.
For PNA Newsroom, Christine Lynn Viajante.
Let's take another look at today's biggest stories. President Duterte expresses satisfaction with Phivolcs' response to Taal Volcano's activity. The DILG says it will let justice run its course in the 2013 Ninja Cops case involving retired PNP Chief Oscar Albayalde. Malacanang denies the president's hand in plans to petition the Supreme Court to revoke the franchise of network ABS-CBN. And Marawi fabrics and handicrafts take center stage in an upcoming fashion show in California, USA. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. To check more news content, check our webpage or head on to the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC 13. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. I'm Bench Bondok. Have a great weekend.